Counting down 3, 2, 1, and we're live. All right, Viktor Jiracek. First time I've ever said your name out loud, I think properly, because I usually butcher it. So, but oh shoot, I lost my video. What is your nationality, or what does that name come from?
I don't think you've ever asked me. Yeah, so my family's from Slovakia, so it's like kind of Eastern Europe, kind of near Germany, and family's from there. Both parents are from there. I was born in the U.S., but I still speak the language. We still go and visit. We were supposed to go to my cousin's wedding in April 2020, but Corona was just taking off right then, so we actually never went. So
yeah. So is that the same as the Czech Republic?
So they actually split. So it used to be Czechoslovakia. I think in 1991 they split up. So it's now Czech Republic. I think they even changed the name to Czechia in Slovakia. So it's kind of
really? I guess I need to catch up on my geography.
It's been a
history. Yeah. Well, I had a fifth grade teacher. She wasn't my teacher, but she was in another, one of the other classes. We had like 3 different classes in fifth grade, and she was her name was Mrs. Goff. Is that a Czech name?
It should be like, when it's a woman, it's like OVA. So my mom's last name is Gotsmanova, but my uncle's name is Gotsman. So like whenever it's a woman, it's like OVA at the end. So
okay, well maybe she married an American, who knows? But she was from Czechoslovakia, is what I heard anyway. And she also had a ping pong paddle, and she would spank her kids. So I was glad I wasn't in her class. Now, is that common in your country as well, or do you know?
I'd say it's more common than it is here. Yeah, they're more.
You can't do that anymore these days. Yeah. But anyway, we'll get off of that. But so yeah, well, we're going to interview. I'm going to talk to Viktor today. We're going to interview him, talk about how he helps other real estate investors flip properties and make 6 figures.
Yeah.
He likes to work with. You like to work with what? The beginners a lot of times, or how's it work?
Yeah, so I kind of work with beginners the most. So I would love to do this interview kind of around that. I really help people like, hey, how do you go from 0 to your first flip? Or how do you go to like maybe some like inconsistent flips, onesie, twosies? How do you do that? Turn that into 6 figures consistently, just like a little machine. So that's typically who I work with.
Awesome. So you help investors go from like 0 to hero, 6 figures flipping houses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, well, anyway, my name's Chad, and we're talking to Viktor here. He's an expert in real estate investing and helping real estate investors to hit 6 figures. So welcome, Viktor.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And yeah, if you're watching this video live, if you would go ahead and hit #live. If you're watching the replay, #replay, just so we know when you were, viewing the video. And if you have any comments, we know to get back to you as well. Any questions you have, feel free to put them in the comments now or along the way, and we can do a little Q&A if we have some time at the end. We'll try to do that as well to kind of go over any comments we have.
Happy to answer questions.
And so, yeah, Viktor is a well-known expert on the subject of real estate investing, and he's graciously consented to this interview and to share with us the beginner's guide, in this area. So every real estate investor can understand how to get started making 6 figures flipping properties. And again, Viktor, thanks for joining us today live. So let's just jump right in. Does that sound good?
Yeah, thanks for having me, by the way.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's good having you. Glad to have you. So my first set of questions is about your background and experience in the field of real estate investing. And, so the real estate investors in our audience can understand who you are, where you're coming from. And we already know you're from, your family's from Slovakia, and how you can relate to or how they can relate to you and where they're at right now. So then we'll jump into the beginner steps to success every real estate investor needs to understand about how to get going in the right direction. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself in terms of your background, your education, and experience in real estate investing?
Yeah, for sure. So I started out, I was going like the typical route in life. So I finished high school, did really well in high school, went to college, and I was studying biomedical engineering in college. And like 1 or 2 years into it, I just realized it wasn't for me. And I just saw like where everyone was at, like 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead, 20 years ahead, because we would meet like peers or like people in the industry. I was like, I don't want to be in that place. I don't like my coursework. Like I didn't like anything about it. So like, okay, I need to make a change because this is not working. So I had a full ride at the time. So everything was paid for, like dorm, everything was paid for. So I was going to college for free, but still decided like, hey, I just need to drop out and do something else. I was always entrepreneurial. So I knew like, hey, I want to start a business or I want to do something that in that sense, it didn't make sense to me to go to school for the college or for like learning entrepreneurship. Like you don't learn that in a classroom, you learn that out in real life. So dropped out of college, tried a lot of businesses, kind of went back into W-2 9 to 5, and just realized like, hey, this still isn't for me. I was in kind of healthcare, home health administrator, and it's like still like, hey, this is not cutting it. Like where I was financially, I'd maybe say like a $500 at the end of the month after all expenses. I'm like, hey, this is not going to get me where I want to go financially. And then like I didn't also like what I was doing, so started doing deals, started looking into real estate, went from wholesaling to flipping, which is what I do now, fix and flipping, and went full time. I went full time about 2.5 years ago, and I just haven't looked back ever since. And did 20 flips, fix and flips last year, 30 fix and flips this year is the goal, and I've bought about 13 so far this year, and I think I have like 3 closing next week. It's kind of stacked up, but yeah, exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty keeping you pretty busy, I'm sure there. Like,
Right.
so did you mention, I don't know, when did you actually start in real estate? You said about 2.5 years ago you went full time. So
Yeah.
how long ago have you been totally in real estate now?
So it's been, I kind of dabbled with it. So my family did a little bit of real estate. So I was lucky enough to like get my first flip, or not first deal, first rental. It was a little condo in Utah, and I, bought that one for 55,000. Just kind of saved some money, inheritance, and kind of borrowed and made it happen. So I was 18 when I got that one, and kind of like went in and out of it, was kind of half-assing it, honestly. And then the bug was always there with me. I was like, hey, I want to actually do something with this because it's actually pretty cool. So that's when I went the full time, like 2.5 years ago.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you started dabbling in it when you're 18?
Yes, because it was a family thing. Yeah, so the
Okay,
family
cool,
had a
gotcha.
couple rentals and that sort of thing. Nothing like huge, but just like a nice little side thing.
Yeah. So you kind of like involved in helping out with it.
Luckily, yeah. So I
Yeah.
was, I think I was even earlier. Like there was a property we bought, like a property that was distressed and just needed help. So and I was helping out. Like they would give me a hammer. Like over the
Mm.
weekend, like I would work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like they was like, here's $20. Thanks for your help. And I'd
Yeah.
like demo and like rip out carpet and like pull out staples and like rip out a kitchen and like just like very basic stuff. Like what would you give like a teenager? What would you give them to do in a property, like demo and stuff they couldn't mess up? Painting, you can't mess that up.
Right. Sure. Well, I know some people can mess up painting. I mean,
Fair, yeah. It's like
yeah,
painting a bare wall.
but yeah, I think so. That's kind of similar to what I did, except for like when I was like 20, I don't remember, 21, 22, I was living in an apartment. I decided to buy a house, and my cousin was a loan officer, and his girlfriend was a real estate agent, and they found me a dump house in a good neighborhood that was all beat up, and back before flipping was like super popular, I guess,
Yeah.
like it is today. But I ended up doing a lot of the work myself and then moving into the house. But yeah, that
Really?
was kind of by accident I got in, and that wasn't thinking at the time I really want to get into flipping houses because I didn't know anything about it. But I just wanted a place to live, and I could get a house for about the same or a little bit less, maybe even than what I was paying from renting my apartment at the time. So it worked out pretty good. But yeah, that's pretty cool. How you got started as well. It's kind of similar, I guess, in a way.
It's crazy. Yeah, you kind of edge your way into it, and then I didn't expect to be where I'm at like today. It was just like,
Yeah.
hey, what I was doing wasn't cutting it, and like, hey, I got to do something else. I didn't realize it'd be like at this level.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So have you had any formal training or education in real estate investing, or has it all been kind of like, figuring it out along the way, or how did you really learn everything you know?
It's kind of both. Like I did a lot of trial and error, unfortunately, which is probably like the worst way to learn, just because it takes the longest. And then like there's one time I bought like a batch of 3 properties, and like I made the same like rehab estimation mistake on each of them. It was like a 5K mistake, 5K mistake, 5K mistake. So that mistake cost me 15,000. So there's a lot of trial and error. So that's one way to learn. I also learned a lot. I think Chris Chico, we know him mutually. He kind of got me started like in mostly like wholesaling, and then I made the decision to switch to fix and flipping. But he taught me a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you there. Oh, yeah. So Chris Chico was your mentor at the time, and you worked for him, or what?
Yeah, so what it was, I was still working the W-2, and I was like, hey, I need to make a transition. So reached out to a friend of a friend, and the friend of the friend is Chris Chico. And initially, like he used to have a mentorship program, and it was like $3,000 a month. And I was like, oh, I can't afford that because I just couldn't. I just didn't have the money, even if I wanted to. And then he's like, well, I actually have a cold calling acquisition person like opening, like the person he had to let go. He's like, hey, if you bring me deals, I can pay you like commission only. So like, hell yeah, I'm in, and I'll learn for free, basically. I'll learn from Chris Chico for free, and you just made it happen and just got started that way. So that's how I learned.
Sounds like that was a pretty valuable lesson along the way, learning lesson, huh?
I'd say so, yeah, because it was hands-on. It was like it was the real deal. It was it was jumping into it, talking to real sellers.
Awesome. So what kind of things have you done, like experiences you've had in real estate investing that were really relevant? Do you feel like would be relevant to our audience today about, real estate investing and kind of how to flip houses?
hmm Yeah, so I want to mention, so like my first two deals were wholesale. So I made like 3,000 on the first one, 3,500 on the second one. And then I made that transition into fix and flipping. So I recommend for you and your audience, like if anyone's a wholesaler out there, there's nothing wrong with wholesaling, but I always see like the next step up is actually like owning the property yourself. There's nothing wrong with wholesaling. It feels like more like a hustle, like you're always chasing the next deal type of thing. And like the checks are smaller. So typical like assignment fees, like, I don't know, 5 grand, 7 grand. For me and my flips, I think your numbers are better than mine, honestly. But typically, like we make 30K net profit on a flip, which is good. Recently, it's been higher, but that's what I recommend. Like get into more of the ownership because that's where more of the value is. You can build more wealth and build more like equity and like get bigger checks. That's kind of the first recommendation I'd make. And then also, it's like really important like where you're sourcing deals. A lot of people, as they're getting started, like as they're beginners, they're like, okay, cool. I want to get into flipping because I've seen like HGTV shows and it looks like people are out there with money. Okay, let me get a realtor and let me start looking on Zillow. And that's like where everyone's looking, and they quickly find out on like MLS deals, like the numbers don't make sense, like they're not that profitable. They're super competitive. So if it's a good deal, it's gone like same day or next. And like you'll find that out. So you got to like find a different way to source properties.
Yeah. Do you feel like you were an overnight success, or did you have to really work at it to get to where you're at?
No, no, it wasn't overnight. No, for sure. So I started in like
It was like
June,
a get
July.
rich quick thing, right?
No, no, I wish. No, no. I started June, July of 2018. I closed my first deal October 31st, was Halloween of 2018. So it took me a couple months. It wasn't just, it wasn't overnight success. I wish it was.
Yeah, it's kind of like you mentioned earlier. I mean, I think you said you made like 3,000 on your first wholesale deal. And again, that's another thing that kind of similar. I didn't realize, but when I did my first wholesale deal, my goal was just not to lose money and to
Okay.
figure out if I could actually, everyone says, oh, it's easy. Well, not that it's super easy, but it's possible that you can go out, you can find these sellers that will sell you their house as is, and then you can find another buyer that take your place and you can wholesale it and make a quick assignment fee. And I thought, well, it sounds good. Sounds almost too good to be true. I wonder if it's really can be done that way. So I need to prove it to myself so I don't keep that. So I don't have that in the back of my head telling me, it's probably not possible or probably won't work for you. I wanted to make sure it worked for me. So my goal was like, hey, let me find a deal, wholesale it, and not lose money. So I made like 3,800 or 4,000, somewhere in that neighborhood.
That's
It's
awesome.
like real similar to what you did on your first deal, but I wasn't trying to make it hard for myself. I didn't want to I knew you could make 10, 20, 30, even more on a wholesale deal. But I didn't want to make it more difficult by overpricing it and then having objections to price, so.
Yeah, no, I think that was how you did it was super smart. Just because like you got proof of concept, like you got paid, like okay, cool. Now this is something real. I
Mhm.
had that going into it, like especially like family. They were saying like, okay, well, why would someone sell their house for less than it's worth? Like, why would someone take a cash offer if they can just list it? So if the place is worth 100, need to put 10 into it. Like, why wouldn't they just list it? And like, why would they take 50 or something like that? 50 or 60. So that was part of it too, like just not only proof of concept for yourself, but proof of concept for people around you.
Mhm.
Because you got to have like a good support system. It's really hard just to do this like 100% solo. It's possible, but like it just makes things easier when people are on your side.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, definitely you can have people kind of dragging you down or they can
Yeah.
be building you up, and it's good to have them on your side. And I mean, if you don't understand it yourself getting into it and you think it might not be possible, of course, other people are going to say the same thing. So
Yeah.
the confidence is good. Yeah. And well, it's obvious that, you're the right expert for us when it comes to real estate investing. So should we go ahead and get started with kind of like the beginner's guide interview here and talk about some of the questions that we can really help beginners when they get started, to help them get started in real estate investing?
Of course. Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to mention, I forgot when we started, but there is a handout. So we do have a handout. If anyone's watching along, you'd like to maybe just open it up and take notes on there. You can, I think it's a PDF, and you can make notes right on there through your computer or print it off and handwrite notes, but you could take some notes on what Victor has to say and some of the advice he's going to give on some of these questions, because it could help you really get your first or next deal.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
The link is in the comments on this video, so just check it out there. If anyone has trouble finding it, let me know. But what's the first step beginner real estate investors need to take with real estate investing and flipping houses?
Yeah. So, and this is what I recommend for my own students. So I would recommend just to get out there and start like making offers. So this is like always like the first assignment I give to newbies, is like first, like just talk to a seller. Like don't even make an offer, just talk to them. That's like the first step. Second step is to make a lowball offer. So whatever they're asking, cut it in half and make that offer. So if they're asking for 100,000, offer them 50,000. A lot of beginners get in their head and they get into this analysis paralysis where they actually never talk to sellers. Like, okay, I got my LLC set up, I got business cards, I got a website, I got this. And then it's like, okay, cool. How many offers have you made in the last 30 days? It's like, oh, I haven't made any. Okay, what about the last 12 months? I haven't made any. It's going to be really hard for you to get properties if you don't make any offers. So I kind of flip it on its head. Like, okay, first thing you're going to do, you're going to start making offers. And you just realize like you are probably going to sound dumb. You might say the wrong thing. They're probably not going to yell at you, but they're just going to be typically nice 99% of the time. But at least like breaks you out of your comfort zone. And it's just one more step in terms of momentum to get you where you want to go. So it's not just, okay, go do this, go buy this fancy software. It's like, okay, just go and be comfortable, get comfortable talking to people. Because that's a big aspect of this business and being successful.
So why would you say, why is it the number one reason why that's important that they take this first step?
So part of doing something in life and making a change. So if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to stay where you're at. If you want to achieve higher levels and earn more, like you have to make a change. And typically what's holding you back in your current place is like all your beliefs and like all your fears. And because you have all these fears, like you stay where you're at. But if you're able to at least break one of these fears and realize like, hey, if I make a lowball offer and they didn't yell at me, like they took it nicely, like you've broken one fear that's holding you back, and then you can like level up from there. So that's why I recommend this piece of advice, because it's also super actionable. Like you can go and do that today. Like you can do this today. Like I don't want you to do something that has to take 6 months to set up because you just won't stick to it. This is like super actionable that you can do. Kind of changes your beliefs or your changes like how you think about things. It's a quick win because you realize it's not a big deal. It just builds momentum in the right direction. You just got to start like changing your habits and kind of changing a little bit like who you are and what you do if you want to change your results.
What do you feel like is the best way for them to really find that first seller to call?
I think for sale by owner is great. If you just, hop on, and there's a lot of like websites for that. Just they have their phone number, just boom, call them. Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace are great places to get access to people directly. Yeah, you can do that, to get started.
Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. I mean, can you go into a little more detail about the websites they might look for sale by owners on?
I actually just use Zillow for sale by owner. Yeah. So Zillow has a sale by owner section that works out great. You can call the owner directly and see the property, make that offer.
Yeah. Okay. So Zillow for sale by owners.
Yeah.
Are there any tools or other apps or anything like that that make that maybe can make that step easier for them?
I would just call them. I use Google Voice to call people because I can call from my phone or call from my computer. Excuse me. So that makes it a little bit. That's not necessary, but I would just do that. Yeah.
So you like to keep your phone number private that way?
That's part. Not really. It's not that I'm scared of people, getting the phone number. It's more like I don't. It's because I want to make phone calls from the computer. Like I don't always want to be on my phone and like calling people. Like sometimes it's nice to just be able to call from my computer. Then it has some other cool features like voicemail transcription and some other cool stuff.
Okay. So how long do you think it would take for someone to really get out there and start getting these offers made the first time around?
I think 1 or 2 days. Honestly, you can call them today, which is why it's like super actionable. Like you don't have to wait to make this happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So they don't have to wait, because they can just take action and do it now. If they get stuck on that step, like what would you say to someone to get them unstuck? Like I guess probably, I know there's probably a lot of reasons why people might not do that first step.
Mm-hmm. I would maybe just set time aside in your calendar. If someone's working like 9 to 5, I can understand like while you're working, focus on your work. But I would just set aside a time in your calendar, like, hey, if it's 6 p.m. or whatever, and like, you have some time, I would just make that happen.
Hmm.
Typically people do it, especially I also recommend like for your first one, just talk to the seller. Don't even make an offer, because people are pretty comfortable with that. Like, oh, I just got to talk to someone. That's not a big deal.
Mhm.
And then that kind of warms them up. And then for the second one, it's like, okay, make a lowball offer. Like you do the same thing, talking to a seller, and then you just drop the offer. I think it kind of warms people up.
Have you seen people, how often do you see people getting deals by kind of doing that, half the price strategy?
I don't think ever, but
Oh,
that's not
never.
the point. No, no, the point of the strategy is just like break out of your comfort zone and do something new.
I was reading a book. I don't remember which one. I've got one of these real estate books. I think it goes through a lot of creative seller financing strategies, and that was exactly what he said in the book was, if you can go out and buy properties from these sellers for 50% on the dollar, on the 50 cents on the dollar, you're doing pretty good. So
Yeah.
make these offers, and I think it talked about even getting them to seller finance them and different things. But
Yeah. Was that, I think I had a guest on, wasn't that Keith or something? I can't remember his name. Joey,
I'm
Steven.
not sure. It's a book, but on creative real estate. I have to pull it up later. I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but just a way like, hey, let's just put yourself out there. Because a lot of people just like the fear holds them back. So
what would you say? I appreciate you sharing that with us. I mean, that's a good tip. I mean, as far as that goes, reaching out to these for sale by owners. What's the second step beginner real estate investors need to take with real estate investing and really flipping houses?
I'd recommend like your success is directly proportional to how many offers you make. So I would get in the habit of like making an offer per day. So like just start to train that negotiation muscle, like deal finding muscle, lead generation muscle. Because if you do, let's say you do an offer a day for 365 days, like for damn sure you're getting a deal. I don't care if you're calling through the phone book, like you're gonna get a deal. So that's what I'd look into as well. I know, I mean, it's a numbers game. Like you're never gonna bat 1,000. Like make 10 offers, get 10 deals. I wonder what your numbers are, Chad, but for me, it's like 1 out of 15. It depends on the lead source, but like 1 out of 15 offers becomes a deal. So that's how I look at it. So just realize like you're going to have to put in the offers to make this work.
And my numbers are a little skewed because I don't like to just make offers. I like to, when I get a lead, I'm really vetting things. I'm having conversations with them.
Yeah.
I'm more pulling information than I am pushing information. So I'm not like trying to send them an offer. I'm pulling their price out of them. I want to know what they want for the house. What are they asking for? And if they can't answer that question, I question, was it even for sale? I mean, I'm confused, and I get them to come to me with a number. And then I ask them, well, can you do any better than that? I mean, how much better can you do?
Yeah.
What if we paid you all cash? Then what would you do? And what if I could close quickly or on your timeline? Then how much better could we do? And I kind of like get them throwing numbers at me. And then when I meet with them, it's more about a commitment. We're looking for a commitment to make a decision. And then the decision comes into actually having a negotiation, and then an offer on writing is when we've got an agreement. So I don't know how you would consider that, because I'm not just like writing offers and sending them out, and I'm not working with listed properties or wholesalers. So, but I would say if I put it on paper, 9 times out of 10, we're getting the deal. But that means we've done a lot of stuff in advance to get to that point.
Yeah. You really qualify. Like how many, let's say this, like how many leads, like real leads do you have to talk to get to that point, to get to that?
Yeah. So like if we have inbound leads, I mean, for every 10 we get, we might be able to get a deal. And I've had times where, and I suppose that kind of comes down like leads or appointments. I like to really focus on appointments versus leads, because when the phone rings, it doesn't always mean there's, opportunity. But
of course,
like I've had runs where we've had appointments. I think I went to 10 appointments and closed 5 of them. And that's not normal, but it's happened, so.
How I see it, especially when you're getting started, like as you're getting started, like you don't know what real motivation sounds like, or you don't know what a deal sounds like probably for you and me, like I can hear it within 30 seconds, like if it's a deal or not, like them talking on the phone. But maybe for beginner, this is what I recommend, like just get out there, because you just don't know what a deal is. And I'd rather you be really honed in with like what to say, how to say it, like what the contract, how to get to that point, just to be really honed in, like when there does come a deal across your table, like what to do.
So making offers, that's like your second really piece of advice, I guess, and a big chunk there. But getting out there making offers, that's a good point. I mean, I know when I got my first leads coming in, I had the marketing figured out. I had a lot of leads, but I had people throwing these wild numbers like, yeah, I'll sell you my house 70,000, 100,000, like 80,000. I'm like, where am I going to get all this money at? It's like,
Exactly.
these people act like money just grows on trees. I mean,
Yeah.
and so, and that was the thing that really kind of had me worried. It was like, what if I just go out there and sign 15 contracts today and I have all these properties, then what, And so,
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you said, I mean, that's one of the things too, like, when I hired one of my first acquisitions reps to go out and meet with sellers, that was one of the things I wanted to do, is show them what a deal looks like, smells like. If they can go out to the appointment and they can identify opportunity, like, does this look like, do these folks have motivation? Are they,
Right.
I mean, if we've gone to a few appointments and they've seen what a deal looks like, and then I can not go to appointments and they can go to them and then call me when they need me to come out to one because we have opportunity and I can help close it, then that's a good way to save some time. But it's a really good point about, not knowing initially what deals even look like and what they sound like.
Exactly. And I've had a lot of deals. This is another kind of myth. This can be number 3, if you will, like the myth of the motivated seller. Like, it's pretty rare. I'd say 9 times out of 10 with my previous deals, they might have said something to the degree of like, hey, I don't have to sell, or hey, I don't have to like get rid of this place, or like, I don't have to list it right now, or like something like that, where it's like, a lot of people think when they hear motivated seller, it's like, please, Chad, take my house. I don't care what the price is. I just want to get rid of this thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty rare, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
Right. Yeah.
I don't
And
think
if they do say that, it might be too good to be true. I mean, you might get lucky like that, but if they said that, I would probably like pinch myself. I don't know, or like pinch them and see if they're even breathing. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, no, I agree with you on that. The myth. I mean, we kind of see things similarly there too, because people, a lot of times investors get stuck on this thing of, hey, I need a list of people who are getting divorced, that are going through bankruptcy, they're behind on taxes, and they're getting ready to get foreclosed, and those are the people I need to buy houses from. And I'm like, well, what about all the other people in the world?
Yeah.
You don't want to buy houses from them too? Because most people that sell me a house, they're not in those situations. I'm like a shoot from the hip rough idea number. I think 70% of the people, it feels like, that sell me a house aren't in those situations.
Yeah.
They actually aren't even having financial problems. But the number one thing I've seen that they all have in common is that they have deferred maintenance or updating or repairs needed, so.
Yeah, no, that's a big thing, like excessive repairs. That's a big thing for sure. Or they just don't want to deal with it, or they don't want to, go through the hassle. That's a big thing, because then what's stopping them from just listing it, so it's kind of what's holding.
Yeah. And a lot of these sellers, it might be in their own head, the reason why they won't list it. They could sell it for more by listing it sometimes, but they just don't think they can. And you don't know, like sometimes you get really down on your luck. Like you look at if you're in a bad spot and you're looking at, well, my house is in this bad shape. Like it'd be embarrassing to list it on the market.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want my neighbors seeing the inside of the house or the pictures or that, some people are thinking that way.
Yeah.
And then, and then they just want to make it quick and easy. And that's worth something to them, just to be able to move it easy and walk away, not have to go through that.
And that's the thing, like you're solving a problem. So they're exchanging like monetary value for you solving a problem. And that can just be like, hey, I'm buying it cash. I'm making it easy. I can close on your time frame type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like an equivalent exchange. Like the bigger problem they have, like it's equivalent to like the price decrease you can get.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I sometimes tell, sellers, if they're coming to me and they don't feel like a good fit, I'm like, hey, we're kind of like dentists here. Like, you don't call the dentist, say, would you pull my tooth today? I mean, because it's fun, and you don't come to a real estate investor and sell your house if you can go just meet with an agent and list it with them, and that would be fine. If you have some reason why, that you need some help, and it doesn't have to be you're having the worst toothache you've ever had in your life, and it feels like a migraine. It could be that, you just don't want to spend $50,000 to put a new roof on the house and paint the house and carpet and showings and open houses and all that sort of stuff. And but it's not just because it's fun to sell to an investor. It's like, there's got to be a reason,
Yeah, I think I really like that too. I found before I would like kind of skirt around it, I wouldn't bring it up. Like I was kind of scared. Like if I say like, oh, why don't you list with a realtor? They're like, oh, that's a good idea. And then they're like, okay.
Yeah. Victor, I got to go. I'm going to go call an agent. Yeah, they don't say that though.
That's what I used to think would happen. But now I do bring it up. And like they give some good reason, like, hey, I don't want to deal with a realtor. Like I don't, I want to pay them a commission. I don't want to, deal with all that headache. I don't want 1,000 people walking through my house. So you ask that question because it's important to bring it up, and you get a legitimate answer. And then you're what's in a good way, this is kind of a sales mentality. Like you're kind of boxing them in to work with you.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting them to convince you of why they shouldn't list it with an agent instead of saying, hey, I'm just going to go list it with an agent later on. Because they
Exactly.
already told you all the reasons why they wouldn't. And
Yeah.
you're probably going to stick with those.
So it's kind of box them out. Like it's suddenly like, okay, well, I can't list with an agent. So what are my options? Well, I got Chad in front of me, I got some other investors. And you just kind of box it in where it's sounding like, hey, I can get you that price that you want, on your terms. And they want to work with you. Like, why did I work with anyone else if Chad's right here giving me the price I want?
Yeah. And I don't know if you thought about this, Victor, but like, how prior to COVID, okay, like say, let's just go back a year and a half ago.
Sure.
We're a real estate investor. We're telling people it's a good idea to sell it to us and not have an open house or showings and not deal with an agent and a bunch of people coming through and looking at your house. Just sell it to one person. Well, that was relevant then, but now after COVID and everyone's saying shelter at home and like social distancing and all these things, now the COVID Delta variant coming out and all this, who knows what's happening with that. Well, I mean, as real estate investors, that whole concept, it's even more valid now. Like there's a lot more validity. You could actually probably do a Zoom call with a seller and close the deal over the Zoom call, where before a lot of people are like, what's Zoom? Now everyone almost, like some of the people I know, we got someone that I work with, another investor, he's 78 or 79 years old and he goes to church on Zoom. So they know how to run Zoom,
Yeah, I've had that happen for a recent deal I'm closing next week. Like they have a family there and they have like kids, and like the kids are they're just concerned about that. They don't want 1,000 people walking through the house. They just thought, hey, this is the price we want. Let's make it happen. They don't want, everyone and their friend, walking through the place, which is valid. There's nothing wrong with that. So you're just solving problems is all it is.
Yeah. That's good stuff, man. I mean, are there any other steps that you feel like right now are important for our real estate investors that are listening to us that they should know about getting started with real estate investing?
Let's say like know your numbers is really key. Just to make it as simple as possible. Like when you're gonna do a deal, like there's a million variables. So there's like, okay, what's the neighborhood like? Is it how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms? Like what school district is it in? Like I can keep naming variables, but there's a million variables. So I'd like really look at your numbers and just be numbers driven. So that's the key here. Just be numbers driven.
Are there any tools that they could use, that real estate investors could use to make sure they have their numbers?
Yeah, I have a little like a fix and flip calculator. If I can share that with you, Chad, and whatever, we can just do it that way.
Yeah,
so that's how I look at it.
That. If you want to share that in this video, like we can post it in the comments, or I haven't been able to look at the comments yet. I don't know if we have anybody that's asking any questions, or it's just us here.
Share this with you.
Yeah, Eva on the call here too.
Awesome. So I'll share that in the Zoom chat so you can post that. But I would just be numbers driven. Like if the numbers fit, do the deal. Especially when beginners, they kind of get in their head like, oh, what about this? What about this? But if like the numbers are there, I'd move forward. And I think the other thing is like, make sure you have a good profit buffer. That's what I always recommend. Like the profit buffer is key. That's like how much intended profit you have. So let's say your intended profit is 30K, because that's just what we're talking about here. So it's 30K, like I'm going to make 30K on this deal. Like even if it takes longer to renovate, like, okay, now it's not 30K, it's 25K. Let's say renovations go over budget and it's not 25K profit, but 20K profit. Let's say you don't sell it for as much as you want because you made a little mistake there. Okay, no big deal. It's not 20K, it's 15K. I know like 15K isn't ideal because you start out with like, I want to make 30K, but now like you're still profitable. Even though things went wrong, and things will definitely go wrong, like you have this profit buffer to insulate you from things going wrong. And I think that's just helps me sleep well at night. Like I know, hey, I've got this much space on this deal. Like I've never lost money on a deal, which is great, but I've had deals pop out where like, hey, I wanted to make 30K or 40K, and I actually ended up making like 10K. But it was still profitable. Like, yeah, that it wasn't ideal, but it just having that solid profit buffer is key.
Sounds like you're having a rough time when you accidentally made 10 grand.
So I don't know a lot of people who would turn down a check for 10 grand. If you find someone, let me know.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, obviously not to really downplay the work that goes into fixing and flipping a house. I'm sure after 4 or 5 months or 2 or 3 months of, managing your contractors and buying supplies and all those things, that, $10,000 profit checks probably doesn't feel like it's enough, but
Well, you're still making money though. Like nobody
Yeah.
ever went broke taking a profit.
yeah,
So
that's
it's
true.
better than the flip side of losing money. Like that'd be
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
punch in the face.
Yeah, I actually did lose money on one where we had, boy, it was a nightmare deal. We had a house that I bought, and it was one of those where we were going to sell it as is. We bought it, put it on the MLS. It was a cool little house, kind of looked like the Brady Bunch house, like it was like an architect, kind of like a local architect that has a big following from back in the 70s and 60s, I think.
Yeah.
And just a really cool little house with wide open ceilings and just unusual angles and things like that. And put on the MLS. It was one of those where it was livable, but 1970s style.
Yeah.
And got an offer and a $30,000 profit on the offer. Okay.
Yep.
Well, that was the beginning. And then we had inspections.
Okay.
And inspections, well, they found a little dip in the sewer pipe. And they're like, well, we think we should probably replace that. Well, I'm like, I don't know. Are you sure? Because it doesn't look like that bad to me. But everyone, oh no, yeah, we need to replace this pipe. And so, well, that included cutting the concrete flooring, which cut through all the HVAC vents, which were ran through the concrete flooring.
Yeah.
It was on a slab, and I'd never seen a house before where the pipes were under the concrete, but that's apparently a thing. And the ductwork was made out of cardboard. So once they started cutting through that ductwork with their concrete saw in the water, it started deteriorating all the cardboard. So you couldn't patch those anymore. That just became you can just probably imagine it went downhill from there. And one thing led to another, and we're replacing HVAC systems and concrete and plumbing pipes. And then it gets into gas pipes and it gets, just on and on and on. Breaker panel and, everything just kind of snowballed. But that was a rare occasion. I'm not trying to scare anyone off with that, but that's the fun we go through once in a while where
you lose a lot
a few $1,000. I mean, the time, that's without counting all the time that went into the deal either, and my staff and stuff like that. But it
did you raise the price? Because you can raise the price to offset some of those repairs. Did you do that?
Well, the problem was that the buyer was threatening to walk. It seemed like he kind of knew what he was doing. And we did raise it some. Yeah, we did raise it some. Like we got him to split the cost of I think the HVAC system or something like that. But I mean, by the time we got down this road, it just became just a money pit. And I wanted just to back out. I was like, well, let him walk. On my agent, I was like, just let him walk. We'll get another buyer. She's like, not at that price. You won't, now that it's all tore up. She's like, so because we had to actually tear out the flooring too on the house. Yeah. So now there's no flooring, and the buyer was going to come in and do his own flooring anyway. So he was fine with that. But another buyer won't look at it like he does. So,
damn.
He saved me from losing even more.
But at least you had a profit buffer. Like if you start out like, hey, I'm only going to make 10K, like that would have been minus 20K, minus 30K, which would have been.
Yeah, which is why our office minimum is 30,000 profit. That's kind of our walk away number is we won't tackle a project unless there's at least a $30,000 profit or 20%, whichever's greater. So yeah.
Same here. We've had some of those like quick flips, like you just paint flooring, boom, list it, and like you're done and close in 2 months. So we kind of look at that similar to you, like if it makes sense.
And you can make 30K one of those, that's awesome. But then you never know. See, the thing is, you never know what you don't know in these deals. You don't know what you don't know when you get into one of these deals and what's going to pop up along the way, right?
Exactly.
Some surprises. Even on a paint carpet little flip, when the buyer comes in and has their inspection done, well, they're going to potentially find something you didn't find. Hopefully not, but
we've had that before. That's why the profit buffer is important. Like we had one where like we did a new roof, but like the roofer did a bad job, so he didn't like seal it properly. So like water got in and like it caused mold, and that wasn't fun. And so we had to do mold remediation, like fix some other stuff. And I think that was like a 10-15K net deal at the end of it.
Yeah. I know, Victor, you're kind of big on mindset, and I wanted to know, like, what do you feel like is the right mindset for a beginner real estate investor to have when it comes to getting started with flipping houses?
I would say just do your first deal. Like my first flip, I think we made about 28K, and it wasn't a home run deal, but it was.
What I really mean though is like mindset. Like some of the challenges we might have mindset wise. Sometimes we make things harder than they could be. We sometimes have issues with procrastinating or victim mentality, or I don't know, different things like that.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack there because there's a lot that goes into mindset. I think the key is like there's a basis, like a mental framework that like really separates like people who are ultra successful versus those who aren't. And that's this. So like if something happens to you, there's basically three ways to react to it. So the first is like it holds you down, it holds you back. Like it's a burden on your back moving forward. Like, hey, I failed or I made this mistake, and now it's with you forever. And you don't want to like go out there and try something else because that's holding you back. So there's event neutral, event negative. There's event neutral, where like, okay, something happens and it's like, okay, well, it's not that big of a deal. And you just kind of move on, you forget about it. And then there's event positive, like something happens and then you take what you can and learn from it and then take it to the next level. So it would have been, very easy for me on some of these flips, like, oh, I only made 10 grand. I was in this deal for, 6 months. I never want to flip again. But I always take it from like, what's the positive I can learn from it and like make sure it doesn't happen again. And I can tell you, like, I haven't had a lot of like 11K flips recently, just because you learn from it and you improve on it. So that's a very key basis of mindset, just because like you're gonna get out there, like you're gonna make mistakes, like you're gonna like things are gonna go wrong. In your case, like your deal, like would have been very easy for you to have been like, well, I guess maybe real estate isn't for me. I lost money on a deal. You could have just given up, but you didn't.
I think luckily at the time I had like 6 or 7 others going, so I couldn't really just be like, well, I'm throwing in the towel because of this one. I had to
Exactly.
deal with the other 6.
You could have taken it that way. So the mindset is key. Like, okay, something happens. Let's get the positive out of it. There's always a positive to it. Just because there's always something you can learn. There's always something you can do to improve for the future. So just always avoid like having it hold you back.
I think I want to ask you about one of the things you said. Like you mentioned, having the mindset with the flipping and then making mistakes. Like sometimes people, I think they like don't allow themselves to make mistakes. Right. What would you say about that?
I think there's always 2 guarantees in real estate. It's always going to cost more than you want. It's always going to take longer than you want. So like if you have that mindset going into it, like it's okay to make mistakes.
What if they're waiting for the perfect deal they won't make any mistakes on?
Okay. I don't know about you, Chad, but even today I make mistakes on deals. So it's just not gonna happen. That's the other thing. Like people are waiting for like this perfect strike, to use a baseball analogy, like right down the middle, nice and slow, perfect weather, and then they can like take it and swing and hit it. People are like, I hear these excuses all the time, like, oh, I'm just waiting for the market to cool down. Like, oh, I'll get started next year. Like, oh, this property has this little issue, so I don't want to do it. So I've seen that all the time. So it's just not going to happen.
I think that makes me kind of laugh is, well, right now it's a seller's market. So that means the houses are selling for way too much. I just can't get any deals. Right. And then it's like, okay, wait a minute. Well, right now it's a buyer's market. I just can't sell any properties because all the buyers, are just, they want to buy them and there's no properties for me to buy.
Yeah. I've heard that too. And then people like always waiting. And it's like, I just want the market to crash and then I'll start buying. Like, if you want to be real with yourself, like if the market's crashing, like, are you going to be the person who jumps into it? Like, if you're waiting now, like, are you going to be the person who goes against everyone else? Like 9 out of 10 people are saying like, hey, don't do real estate. You're going to be the 10th person who jumps into it. Like, very unlikely.
Well, yeah. And to your point there, I mean, in 2020, I don't know about you, but a lot of real estate investors I know have had their best year ever. Like during one of the hardest times to find deals, like during the COVID inventory shortage, and they're having their best years ever, making the most money ever. So if they're waiting for the market to crash, that means they're basically waiting to go out of business, right?
Yeah, and that's what I've seen. My 2020 was my best year, and 2021 is set to be even better. So I think, and this is what I also think about like mindset of flipping. Like I always think it's the same amount of difficulty because you're on the buy side and you're on the sell side when you're flipping. So like right now it's harder to buy houses, super easy to sell it. If you list something half decent, it's going to sell multiple offers, and it always like shifts and it has that sort of balance. So if the market corrects and it's like a down market, it's going to be much easier to buy, but it's going to be harder to sell. So you're just kind of on both sides of it. That's how I look at it. So it's not that, it's always going to be the same amount of difficulty. So just kind of just bake that into your numbers, bake that into your process.
Yeah. So, was there anything else that you'd like to share as far as, getting started in real estate investing, anything that we might've left out?
I think that's it. I think pretty much covered it. We went over a lot of good stuff. I would just recommend like get started, like really, it's been a life changer for me. I used to be in, I don't know if you know this, Chad, I had some bad businesses that went bad. And in like 2017, I was about 300,000 in debt, like 300,000 in negative, and now I'm like way, way, way into the positive. Probably hit the 7-figure mark in the next 12 months, which would be awesome. Like personal net worth, which would be great. And so real estate is a great tool. You just got to know how to use the tool to like unlock like real equity, real wealth, like real income for yourself. You just got to know what to do. You got to learn the right skills, like how to find deals, how to get the money, all that good stuff. That's really key.
No, that's great. Earlier you're kind of talking about like waiting for the right time to get started, it's never the right time, right? It's never the right time. It's never the right time to have kids. It's never the right time to get married. It's never the right time to buy a house or to leave your job and start a new job or start a business. It's never the right time. So people who want to wait for the right time to start their real estate investing business could be waiting a long time and potentially the rest of their lives.
Exactly. There was I don't know if you, a mutual friend of ours was talking about this. There's like Earl Nightingale, who's an author, and he was saying like he did a study, like talked to people at the end of their life, and like 99% of them were unhappy or unfulfilled or like, hey, I wasted my life. And he basically found like what was causing 99% of people to be unsatisfied with their life. And it was just fear holding them back. Like they were always waiting for the right moment. And that right moment obviously doesn't come because there's never a perfect moment. So that's why 99% of people were unhappy. Like the 1%, like they're the ones who went out there, took action, made a change. Even if it feels a little bit scary or they're a little bit nervous, they made it happen. So don't be like the 99%, don't be like the 99% that are regretting everything in life.
Yeah, that would not be good to be in your deathbed and regret your entire life.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Victor, for the great interview. I'm sure all the real estate investors in our audience have a much clearer understanding of getting started in real estate investing. And now that you've laid everything out so clearly, so thank you very much for sharing your expertise and experience and so graciously. Well done. Can you tell us a little bit about your 6-figure house flippers Facebook group?
Yeah, sure. So I got a little neon sign, 6-figure house flipper. So I flip houses myself. I also mentor people like how to get started. First flip, get to 6 figures. I've had a lot of success, a lot of student success, which is great. I have a free Facebook group if folks are interested. 6-figure house flipper. So just on Facebook, 6-figure house flipper. It's free. I cover like how to get started. It's got a lot of free resources. Today I did a Facebook Live, like what happens if you can't sell your flips? Like what are your exit strategies? So that was really successful. Like a lot of people like that. So just really understanding like how to get started, make this reality for you guys.
Awesome. Yeah. So again, thanks for coming and sharing all these amazing strategies with the beginners, kind of like the insight and the steps. I mean, the basic steps that they may be overlooking. So again, I'm Chad Lauer, and thank you, Victor, for hopping on here and telling us about, your success so far this year. I'm looking forward to seeing you hit that 30 house goal this year.
Yeah.
And everyone, I'd like to invite you to go ahead and check out Victor's Facebook group, 6-figure house flipper.
Mm-hmm.
We can post that in the comments as well. We can post a link there to that group. And so to your success in real estate investing and flipping houses, everyone have a great day. Thanks for coming, Victor.
Appreciate it.
I'm going to end the live now. All right, cool. So thanks for doing that. How do you feel it went?
I think it went really well. We got into some good stuff and yeah,
it's kind of interesting hearing your side of things where it's someone's like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking too. A lot of the time it's like, pretty interesting. Yeah.
No, it's crazy. Like we arrived at the same conclusion, but from different angles, so it's like, it has to be true. Like if you're saying it, I'm saying it. I don't care if it's Missouri or if it's Florida. Like the truth is the truth.
Yeah. I mean, there's little things you'll catch on to. Some people don't ever figure those out. Some people don't ever, like, it's kind of obvious, but some people aren't real good at figuring those things out, like with common sense, I guess.
The fundamentals are key. A lot of beginners, I don't know like what your mix is for your group. Like they're like, oh, I made 3 offers and I didn't get a deal, so I'm gonna give up. It's like, you got to make more than that, buddy. You gotta get, like, oh, I sent 100 postcards and I didn't get a deal. It's like,
no, yeah. Postcards, yeah. I'll try 100,000 postcards and then let me know.
Exactly.
1,000 at least, a couple thousand maybe.
Yeah, I don't even do postcards. It's just so saturated and like competitive and high cost per deal. So
yeah, I mean it's getting that way. I think it still works, but it's probably not as easy as when I first was using them. Like, man, I would drop 2,000 or 3,000 postcards and get 4 or 5 deals.
Jesus.
And I almost had to, like, I was almost afraid to do any postcards because I get too many deals.
What a good problem. Yeah. A different world. Yeah. That was 2013. When was that?
Oh, let's see. Postcards. Probably probably 15 and 16, even those were real good. I mean, we've used postcards pretty consistently over, I mean, even up until, the last couple of years, but it's been good. But yeah, I mean, I think now it's a little harder to use them. Like I have one of our members, his name's John, and he started using postcards, and he's like, well, Chad, what if I do like $500 a month? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, might not be enough. And it's like 1,000 postcards he's able to do. You get them for about 50 cents a piece. And he actually was getting deals.
Really?
Wow, do some more. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a real likable old guy with a lot of sales experience. So he meets with sellers. They love him, and he closes almost everyone. So
yeah. Well, I was thinking I want to start using like the NAPQ stuff for the real estate investing. Like I'm pretty full on deals, but like it'd be really great to turn my 1 in 15 to like 1 in 8. That'd be like, oof, that'd be life changing.
Or if you could even focus on maybe become more selective of deals and just work on really high margins, like try to focus on increasing margins. You really don't need more volume. If you can make more money and do less deals, would be better, right?
What I've been doing, honestly, that what I want to test out next is more like a wholesale model. So like do the bare minimum and list it.
Oh yeah, I've been doing that a lot. Those are really good.
A student of mine did that. He was gonna do the full rehab. He's like, okay, I'm gonna make about 31K if I make the full rehab. He's having a little trouble finding some contractors. So I'm like, hey, just list it. Let's see what happens. And he got multiple offers, and without touching, I think he mowed the lawn, maybe cleaned it out. Like he's gonna make that same 31K without doing that full rehab. It's quicker money, less hassle. Like why not?
Sometimes the market will overpay for these deals because they just need a place to stay. Like someone just needs a house.
And I think they underestimate like what the repairs are going to be. Like you and I know, like, okay, kitchen's going to be this much, flooring this much. They might go into it and they're like, oh, well, flooring's not going to be 5,000. It's going to be, 3,000. Maybe they can do some of the work themselves. Like painting isn't that hard. Maybe they just painted themselves and, save some money that way. But just with like low inventory, that's kind of.
Have you ever seen, I'm dropping a link in the chat. Have you ever seen my case study on the 114% ROI?
No, I haven't. Which one is this?
The wholesale deal.
Was this you?
Yeah.
Is this your deal? So this is your deal, not a student
Yeah,
deal?
one of my deals, yeah.
Awesome.
I don't know if you have to opt in for that one or what.
No. I'll have to check it out later, but
whenever you get a chance, you can watch it. It's a short little video,
that's really cool.
That's actually a video to it right there. Yeah, check out the back of the house. See, that's how we listed on the MLS. You see the picture of that on the did you open the link or no?
I'm looking at it, like to watch the video. I see the end picture.
Here, check it out. Nice. You can see my screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
Yeah, so that's the way we listed it, just like that. I mean, we had caution tape going across the back slider.
Yeah,
really beautiful house. Really great curb appeal.
Yeah. You guys just listed it. So what are the pictures of it being nice? Was that the other buyer?
We did, so.
Oh, okay. So that was after we sold it. That was when we sold it to the other investor, and they put it on the market later. So we actually bought this house for 25K, put it on the MLS, and sold it for I think 89,000 if I remember right. This is the wrong number. These numbers aren't right here. That was a wholesale deal. We thought that ARV was 130 and it was during the time when prices are just like getting out of hand. They just keep going up. Nobody knows what the real price of anything is, like of the houses, because they're going up so fast. And the other investor ended up getting 200,000 for the house.
You're kidding me. Jesus Christ.
Wow. So but for our lighting estimations, I mean, if we would have rehabbed it and sold it for 130, it wouldn't have made any sense. But I've got like all the numbers in here,
So that's
so here's our actual numbers right here on it.
Crazy, dude. Insane. Wow. For the amount of work you did, that's crazy. That's great.
Yeah, the amount of work we did was 7,117. So
yeah. So yeah, just to answer your question. So I'm thinking like do more of the wholesale stuff, and then I can start doing more marketing, and then just that. I also want to include like partner with a realtor or something like that. Sometimes it makes sense to buy it cash. Sometimes like people have asked me like, hey, Victor, like, do you have a license? I'd want to list with you. So I want to like be able to service them. Like I can just be a professional problem solver. Like, okay, if it makes sense, just be done with it. Okay, I'll buy it cash. Maybe it makes sense for me to list it. Just help more people
when
out.
You say partner with an agent, maybe just refer the business, let them list it, and then get a referral fee.
I don't want to deal with like the listings and the showings and the negotiation. I just want to like, I'll sign it, or I'll get this listing, and then I'll give it to someone else, and we'll split the commission. So I've been thinking about that a lot recently.
Do you have a license yet or not?
I don't. No.
Yeah. I had mine for a while, but I let it go because it's just. I mean, I thought the same thing. I was going to use it to get a lot of referrals, and I got a handful of referral fees, but when we started getting super busy, I mean, my team wasn't very good at like converting these opportunities into listings. So a lot of them just
Oh,
kind of fall through the
interesting.
cracks.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
It's in the end, it became a kind of a hassle just to really get, kind of maintain the license, because you have to go to and do recurring education and some of those things. It's like, oh crap, it's this week. Oh, we got to go an 8-hour day in the real estate office. I got to go down to the board and sit in their class for a day or whatever. And some years, like every other year, you had to do twice as much training. It's just kind of a hassle. And I'm on a state line, so I got to maintain Kansas and Missouri. So I'm
Oh, you're
doing this
kidding.
both.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
No,
So
that's not worth it. So that's why I just want to like, hey, you're a realtor, you deal with it.
Mhm.
Then give me half, because that's the hardest part is getting the listing. Listing it today is super easy.
well, and you might maybe just work it out. I don't know if how ethical or this is to do, but like you could partner with them in a way. Hey, I'm going to do marketing, and I'm going to generate leads, and the leads that make sense for you to list, then you can just pay me a marketing fee, which
Mhm.
could be equal to X amount of the commission, but it's not going to be a referral fee. It's not going to be commission. It's a marketing fee.
Yeah.
I'll invoice you with a fee for marketing because I did marketing to get the leads. I'll
I
just
used to,
just help me reimburse my marketing, huh?
I tried something like that. The important thing is like when you're there, then that's when you need to get the listing agreement. You need to get some sort of documentation that they're going to work with them. Because I've had that happen before where like I go there and like, okay, well maybe it makes sense to list it and I refer it out. And
Yeah.
I've maybe done that like 20 to 50 times. And
Yeah.
like 0 have converted, like absolutely 0.
Yeah.
Because again, if they're in a motivated position, like if you don't get it right then and there, it's
Well,
just
yeah, what I usually do in that case is I'm there with the seller. I'm like, hey, well, Bob, I know that you really want retail for this house. It's a super nice house. You should definitely get retail. But why don't I call my real estate agent friend so she can go ahead and pop on over here,
that's
and
smart.
and then we can just go ahead and figure everything out, see if it makes sense or not.
Yeah.
Work together.
Exactly.
And, or my, I don't know, you say my associate, my partner, the realtor that lists all my properties, whatever, and sometimes they're gonna be like, well, I already have an agent. My sister's an agent, or we got a friend in the family that sells all our houses. And then other people like, I don't have an agent,
Yeah.
and then if they can't come right over, then you can always then schedule a time to meet again.
Mhm. But it's a warmer introduction. Yeah. Cause I've had like, hey, I shared information and then they like call them the next day and like, they don't pick up. So it's just so important to just do it right then and there. So
Yeah, for sure.
cool. Well, I got to run here, but appreciate it, Chad. If you want to do in my group next week, just let me know your schedule. We can do same time next week if you want. I'd love to interview you. And
Yeah, let me just double check here. What's next week? I know. Let's see here. Today's Thursday. To do.
That's crazy.
I think the really good thing to do with these, I was thinking about earlier, is maybe to chop these up and make little YouTube videos out of them. If there's little pieces of them that are like full of value.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I'll do that or not yet. Let's see.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I have another. I'm already interviewing next week at 5.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, maybe we could do a different day. Do you always do them on Wednesdays?
That's how I like to do my stuff.
Yeah. Do you have a different time that might work?
I can do Wednesday or Thursday. I mean, I can do any day, honestly, but that's how I like to typically do it, like Wednesday, Thursday this time. And you can hit me up after. There's no problem with that either.
Yeah, let's do Thursday. Yeah, let's do Thursday.
Okay, great.
You want to send me an invite, or what do you want to do?
I'll send you a calendar invite. Yeah.
Okay.
Do it on my Zoom.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, definitely do some marketing too to your people to get them to join your group.
Yes.
You'll see a big spike in your group growth by doing these things if you market them,
Yeah, I've started promoting like the actual events I do, and that's I get a couple people joining, which is good. But it just like they see me more, which is huge.
Yeah. You have a reason to stay in front of them, and there's something you're giving them.
Exactly.
Giving a gift.
So they see my name more, and then like I have like the retargeting running, and then I'm like posting daily. So I'm just everywhere, and then they just get used to me. Like whether they consume the content or not, they see me everywhere, so I become more trusted.
Here, check this out real quick, Victor. I want to share this little tip with you.
Sure.
Maybe you can do this for yourself, because I know you were talking about this in a way. At least you're doing a lot of interviews. So check this out. If you Google Chad Lauer, check this out. Let's see. Well, maybe you have to put the word review. Okay. Chad Lauer reviews. Okay. Chad Lauer reviews. And you look at that right here.
Hey, nice. I like
That's
it.
the interview I did 2 days ago. Well, I
That's
posted
good.
it 2 days
Yeah,
ago on YouTube.
that's awesome.
And you can also
Julian,
search for like,
that's what his name
house
is.
buying masters.
Yeah.
So if you optimize your YouTube, your video, your interviews as YouTube videos, and then you make it around interviews like reviews and interviews, testimonials, then when people are looking for, hey, let's find some dirt on Victor. I know he's got to be, really screwing people over on this real estate thing, and they start finding all these videos. It's like, oh wow,
That's awesome. That's smart. That's really smart.
not hard to rank for your name either.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people.
Right now, let's see, Victor. Oh gosh.
JIRACK. You got it.
Let's see here. BBB, serial entrepreneur. I mean, good stuff. You got some like podcasts that show up.
Oh, you're looking me up, huh?
Yeah, I was looking. So have you you did your interview with Thousand Homes guy,
Stephen Mitchell, that's his name. Stephen Mitchell. Yeah. Or
Mitch Stevens.
Mitch Stevens. That's
So
his
that
name.
was a different book. It was a different book. But I did watch your interview. That was good. That was really good. Did you? No, I watched you interviewing him, but I haven't seen your interview with him yet.
That was already released. Yeah. So if you want,
I think he said he has 100,000 podcast followers.
Did he say that?
Well, that's what his, because they reached out to me about a year ago and wanted to interview me on their podcast, and I didn't do it. My mom had just passed away, so I wasn't in a position to want to do it. But I've reached back out to him recently anyway. Seeing yours, I'm like, I need to circle back with this guy. But did you feel like you got any business from that, or any traction from it? Or
it's so hard to tell nowadays, especially like the Facebook ads and stuff. I know before I was doing I got a sale per interview roughly.
Yeah.
So I think there's benefit in that. Just spreading the name, like people look me up. I think there's value in that.
Definitely these podcasts. Like when I Google your name and all these podcasts come up, that's real good credibility.
Yeah, no, I just do one a week, and I think it's fun too, and it's easy content. That's the other thing. Like it's just easy to throw it up.
Yeah, definitely good stuff, man. I was kind of afraid to do this in the beginning of like, well, my group is that's my group. It's like mine. And like I got to protect my people in the group, and they're, but the reality is like these people are gonna buy from other people. They're not just gonna work with us. I mean, they're gonna buy multiple programs, and really, I mean, who cares if 5 or 6 of my people buy from you, if 5 or 6 of your people buy from me? Hey, we're both making sales, right?
Exactly. So. Yeah, that's what I've seen. The same thing. Yeah, it kind of mixes up the content, because if it's me posting all the time or me doing videos all the time, like, okay, let's get chatting here. Let's talk about somebody else and something new,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Cool.
And, it's also good to have someone else like introducing you.
Yes.
And like talking about you as being an expert, because it just, even if like, who is this person, Chad or Victor or whatever, well, like, just because I'm like promoting you, it's like, oh, some credibility there, even if they don't know who I am.
Well, like with Mitch Stephen, like he's like, oh, I've done 2,000 deals, like something. I'm talking to him, so like we're in their mind like at the same level. It's not necessarily true, but like it just elevates me, So
listening to Mitch though, I mean, there's some things he was talking about. I'm like, wow, I kind of almost want to buy his like course or whatever it was he was offering, because like some of the things he's talking about, I'm probably not doing. Yeah. And I like the way he thinks about, like, he's just figuring out, how do I get my net worth to go up, and how do I, if I never sell these houses and they just hold on to them, like how many million, he said he got like $26 million, I think, in debt. Yeah. He's paying out like, I think it was $130,000 or $150,000 a month in mortgage payments. Like that's mind boggling. But then on the other side, he said he had $300,000 a month coming in to pay those bills, which is nice. Yeah. Really nice.
He's the real deal. He's been in it long enough, so there's plenty to learn there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cool, man. All right, well,
I gotta run.
Let you go. I know you gotta run.
We'll talk next week. I guess we'll talk tomorrow for the role play. But yeah, I appreciate it, and let me know if I can do anything to help in the meantime.
Sounds good. We'll see you.
Cool. Bye.
Thanks, Victor. Bye bye.